All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get going. We are at the top of the hour. This is the renovation workshop that you've signed up for here through NABERS, the National Association of Independent Builders and Real Estate Services. So thank you very much for joining us today. This is the first of several sessions we're going to have that specifically cover renovation. And I know all of you have taken the new construction specialist class, and you're all familiar with that portion of the business. But we're getting a couple questions, I think, as real estate professionals. One of them is, should I consider building a home? And maybe if the budget isn't there to do so, it's how do I purchase a home and renovate a home? So we don't have an environment right now where a lot of folks are just buying homes as they are. Right? They're coming in with pretty specific expectations. And if they're not going to buy something brand new, they're going to need to understand how they can get the information they need to make a decision about buying something and putting the necessary improvements into it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Joining me today as well is Randy, and I want to make sure that Randy is on with us as well. Randy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here.
Fantastic. And Randy, if you can turn your mic up just a little bit, I think that would be great. And Randy Margalith actually is one of the developers here of this Real Reno Pro tool. So we want to talk just a little bit about renovation, then we're going to hand it over to Randy so he can show you how this works. And we want to talk, first of all, about the environment that we're in, right? The current trends. So right now, I think no matter what market you're in the country, you are probably strapped for inventory and you're seeing prices go up, right? It's typical supply and demand. We're also seeing much shorter market time cycles. So we have less homes, they're selling very fast, and prices just continue to escalate. So all of these factors really are making home buyers consider home remodeling as part of their purchase option, right? So we know that consumers are very data driven. We know that they don't typically buy a home and just kind of leave it as is for 5, 10, 15 years. They come in right away knowing what they want, and either they have the vision and they see the potential in a home, or they don't and they kind of rule it out. Okay, so it's our job as real estate professionals to help them see the potential in these homes and also get a flavor for what it's going to be cost-wise and scope of work-wise in order to do these renovations. Okay, so that's really, part of what our job is to facilitate these things, right? It's not just about showing property anymore. Everybody shows property, right? But how do we differentiate ourselves from other real estate professionals? Well, we do that by providing a service that others are not providing. And that is showing them the potential of a property, helping them understand the scope of work and the things that they want to do, and then getting a flavor for what the costs are, and possibly even helping them get connected to the contractors that can do the work. Okay, if we lay out the path and answer all those questions, I think we'd be amazed at how many people actually move forward on a lot of these homes. In the absence of that, right, where they see that there is a dark spot and they don't understand what it's going to look like, what it's going to cost, who's going to do the work, they don't see the vision of what a property can be. That's where we have our disconnect. And on a purchase the size of a home, that's a deal killer, right? But right now we have more people than ever considering buying and renovating a home because of how our consumers, our clients are wired, right? But also the fact that new construction has just gotten very expensive, right? And if you want to know how expensive new construction has gotten, just Google lumber index and you'll see some of the numbers. Lumber alone is about triple what it was a year ago. So although new construction is a great option, we know that just for some buyers, it's just not going to work. So this is an alternative for them. Now, other trends that we're seeing is that, today's home buyers really want to have information, lots of information. But as we saw in the NCS class, it's really not about information, right? It's not about gathering all this data. It's about navigating all the data, right? So Generation X has a lot more data that they can reach and utilize than the baby boomer generation, for example. Yet people are using realtors more than they've ever used realtors before. So it's really not about data. It's about knowledge and wisdom and guidance. And that's where the real estate professional has value, right? Anybody can get data now anywhere. And a lot of these clients of ours, they could hop online and find out all kinds of things about a property and its history and even its permitting and work's been done to it. They can do all kinds of things. It's not difficult to find data. It's difficult to find good guidance and counsel. Okay, so that's where we set ourselves apart from everybody else. Okay, but most of these buyers have very little experience, right? They really don't understand renovation. They really don't understand real estate. Unfortunately, many of them have probably gotten their education from some cable TV when it comes to home renovations. So we know that that's probably going to lead to more problems than solutions. The average person ends up buying 4 to 5 homes in a lifetime. So this is something that our buyers are going to be asking us about throughout, their purchase cycles, home after home after home, whether it's a smaller home or a bigger home. And we know that our clients are more demanding than they've ever been before, right? They know exactly what they want. And in the absence of that, they tend to just stop the process. Whereas years ago, we could take a family out and show them homes for a couple weekends. And before you know it, they're writing up a contract, right? And they understand it's not perfect, but hey, they'll live with it. It'll do. That's really not today's home buyer at all. I get it, right? This is a generation and a time in our lives where you can grab a phone, push a few buttons, and have a box on your doorstep tomorrow morning. That type of buyer, that type of consumer, is going to want the data and is going to be pretty demanding and pretty specific about what they want. So what's the opportunity here? We want to obviously take advantage of today's renovation trends, and we want to make sure that we're better servicing our clients while also differentiating ourselves from all the other agents who are not doing those things. Okay, we've talked about the fact that there's 1.4 million realtors. I was just talking to a individual who's getting licensed tomorrow. He's taking his test, and he feels like he just doesn't stand a chance. He's scared. And the reason why he's scared is because there's 1.4 million realtors and less property on the market than there's ever been before. It's literally a battle for the crumbs, right? Because there's only so much out there. So the ability to differentiate yourselves and bring this piece is really going to set you apart from the other real estate agents out there. Of course, this is going to help give you instant access to renovation estimates. Randy's going to show you how that works in just a few minutes, okay? And also the ability to connect with actual individuals that can help you get the work done. And we're going to talk about how, Randy's built that in a way where you're not getting inundated with contractor inquiries, okay? So again, you're representing a buyer. You want to go ahead and understand what can be done to a property, right? It might be in the perfect location, and that's a big part of the battle, right? Because you can't just pick up a home and move it. But it might have the outdated rooms. It might have the boxy floor plan. Might have outdated cabinets and trim and windows and all these things, right? But can that be their dream home? Well, that's part of what we need to bring them some counsel on, right? What would it take to do that? And then what would the steps be to discover a little bit more about what that scenario lays out as in terms of cost, scope of work, and who would actually do that work. Now, there is a play here if you are representing sellers as well, right? So when you go sell a property, you're pretty much selling whatever you walk into. If it has a pink bathroom, if it has a 1975 kitchen, it kind of is what it is. But how do you make sure you maximize the property value and bring value to that home seller? Do we think that the buyers are not going to see the pink bathroom? Do we think that they're not going to see the 1975 kitchen? We need to come into those scenarios almost like a doctor, right? All right, here's what ails you. This is what's going to prevent you from selling this home. And we could use this type of a tool that we're talking about today to estimate what the work is going to be and what the cost is going to be. So individuals looking at that home understand that there could be a plug-in solution here, right? If I have a $400,000 budget, is it possible to get the $300,000 home with the $40,000 kitchen and the $20,000 in baths and the refinished flooring and still be within the 400? If so, you've taken a product that really isn't desirable for that buyer and you've made it desirable, right? Because you've been proactive in addressing those concerns that need to get addressed, okay? So even from a seller's perspective, there is a play here. Don't think this is just a buyer's perspective. This is something we need to think of from the seller side of it as well. And excuse me, of course, that's really differentiating you as well. I don't know a lot of agents who come in and do that diagnostic to the point that They're identifying the specific features that are problematic and then laying out a plan to identify a cost of work and pretty much create a plugin, like a vision for that buyer to come in and see what can be done with that property. Okay, so the Real Reno Home Estimator, we're going to go through it in just a second. Randy's going to run you through it, how it works. This is built specifically for real estate professionals, okay? So this is not a tool that other individuals are running around with. In addition to that, right now it's only being offered to NCS agents, right? So as new construction specialist agents through Neighbors, you have access now to the Reno tool, and you also have access to the Next sessions, right? Every 2 weeks we do Next, N-E-X-T, talk about how we can actually take all this information and build and grow your business, right? So this is kind of the inside track that you're having to this type of technology. And it does give you access to a single designated project specialist. Randy will talk about that as well, right? You and your clients don't want to get called by 20 different, home remodelers, right? Instead, there's somebody who just runs point and manages this process for you and your client, okay? It's obviously compatible either desktop or on your mobile device. It's easily accessible, so you can go ahead and you can save it as a shortcut and put it on your phone. So I think most of you know how to do that. If not, I'm sure Randy can cover that as well. But how you just take a website link and turn it into a shortcut on your phone. That way it operates like a normal app would on your phone, right? The ability to share this information with clients and with any other involved parties, right? And also have access to technical and project support and training. Okay, so we're going to continue to work with you folks on this tool as you need help to make sure that you understand how it works and you can actually see it as a real value in your business and you work with it whenever the opportunity presents itself, right? Because as we're out in the field looking at properties, we're going to have the need all the time to have something like this. So we just got to keep it top of mind, right? Not forget about it. And of course, there's no cost to the realtor. There's no cost to the client. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hand it over to Randy. Randy Margolith is kind of the captain of the ship here when it comes to this particular tool. He built it around the real estate community with feedback from the real estate community, specifically to bring the utility that realtors want when it comes to being in the field and getting estimates and being able to present that information to their clients. So Randy, you still with me?
Yes, I am. Thank you for the introduction. I'm going to, let's see, let me start by sharing my screen. Jim, you're going to need to give me access to share the screen.
Oh, I thought you were already in presenter mode. So if you're not in presenter mode, I will make sure that you are. All right. You're the host now. You should be able to run the demo.
Okay, great. So right now, like Jim was mentioning, it's a tool that it's a web-based tool, meaning it's similar to accessing your favorite website. We recommend just adding as a bookmark so you'll have a quick access to that. And depending on what browser you have, if you use Google Chrome, there's usually a star that you add to it or click bookmarks. And it's just adding like any other favorite website that you have. Before I start, when you usually log on, this is the starting page. It just highlights key remodeling projects from major ones to minor ones, from remodeling a kitchen, bathroom, doing the roof, and from flooring, some cabinetry, and painting. We offer quick estimates on the fly with our tool. And if you have any very structural or custom or more robust remodeling projects that need to be handled, you just go on to the other and you'll have the ability to address them under that flow. So let's take the kitchen for an example so we can go through the flow. You would just simply click on the kitchen, the remodel. It asks you what type of layout you have or what you would prefer. So you would have these common layouts. So I'll select, let's say, the L shape. It will ask you if you want to include a kitchen island in the remodeling, yes or no. So I'll select yes. The size, we give you 3 different size ranges depending on where you want to be in. So I'll select the mid one. And if you want to include backsplash, yes or no. And as you can see, while I'm selecting all my responses, you see I'm building up my project here on the right, so you can always see what you're selecting. And then you can go to the end where it says select the quality of material, like the finishing. So you have 3 different settings where you have where it's more price sensitive. If it's an investment property and you're not going to want to spend a lot of money on it because you know the wear and tear is going to be quite high, you probably want to select on the economic. If you're looking for a good price, a good value, quality would be standard and premium. Well, that's more on the higher end. So for our example, let's throw in the standard. And then here we have the measurements, quick, easy measurements that are easily attainable. We have instructions here. We ask for linear feet, and going further, you have this question mark with a diagram explaining what we're looking for. And then you can just simply enter the information here. So I'm just going to, for this particular example, I'm going to just do 5 by 5 linear feet, so total 10. Click next, and then enter the location of the project. It's driven by zip code, the estimate. So you click there, and then you quickly get a range of what it could be for the information that you've provided for a complete remodel. And here in this little box here, it explains what's included. So we include in this particular example, labor, materials for cabinetry, countertops, major appliances that are in the kitchen, and plumbing fixtures. And from there, if it does not include any relocation, it has to be in this particular case is if you have a similar layout, it's just upgrading with a similar layout. That's what this range accounts for, and here it just gives you a quick summary.
So
And
Randy, if I can backtrack just 1 second, I noticed you punched in a zip code there. When you say the pricing is driven by zip code, tell us a little bit about how that works.
Well, depending on your zip code, right? Like material may not be the biggest difference, but labor, right? You have different boroughs and different areas where labor rates and pricing of project differ dramatically just because of the area of the property. And this system takes that into account while you enter that zip code, our system takes that into account.
All right, so that's a really big deal. So, you know, we know some of our partners are building homes in Florida at $90 a square foot. And up here, you know, those homes are running $200 or $240 a square foot, you know, up in the Chicagoland area. So between the material and the labor, prices can vary dramatically. So you're saying that all those variables, both the labor rates and the material rates, are all dialed in by the product needed for that project based on the zip code that it's in, right?
Precisely.
All right, so that's a degree of accuracy that's probably not out there 9 out of 10 times. That's pretty cool. And then, of course, you got the breakdown on what that price includes. So they know that they're getting basically a full kitchen outside of, you know, demolition or rerouting any gas or electric utilities, right?
Precisely. And obviously there's additional costs and more precise. And this is where if you click here on the request personalized quotation, you click here, and in this section, you have the ability to fill out additional information about the project related to that property, from the type of property, if it's a detached home or is it an apartment, townhouse, or condo, what is going to be supplied by your client. If you don't know, you can simply click do not know. Are there plans available, or will there be plans, a design floor plan, or will they need guidance by the contractor? So it helps us gauge what type of client and what type of vision and project your client will be embarking. And then for the project specialist that Jim mentioned, we'll be able to connect you with the right individual to manage and being able to be that point of contact and get you not only the pricing, but the specialists in that area that can handle all the needs of your client. So from here, so let's say you could select it. And then here we ask if there's any relocation, because that also drives the pricing and the expectations. So here's where you would probably enter the information if you want to relocate the sink, the layout of the island, whatever the case may be. And from here, you can have an other, and then we also have an uploading feature where you can upload all different types of images directly from the phone, any type of files. You can even put in this other information here, the link or the address of the listing of the property, so you can actually share that information with our project specialist right from the get-go. And it's just as simple by clicking browse and clicking and then uploading, for instance, an image and multiple files. And then here it's self-explanatory. You enter your information, the client's information if you'd like, and the location of the project, and then a preferred method of contact. And then once all that's filled out, you have the ability to submit for quotation, meaning that our team receives the information and then we are able to assign a project specialist and contact the preferred method of contact, either the realtor or the client, depends on this information over here, and be able to manage a project accordingly. Or if you're not ready to get a specialist and you just want to share it amongst with the client or with another party that's involved in the process, you have the ability here to click share project, fill in the request information, which is your name and your address. Simple. And then you just shoot off an email. And also, if you're on your phone, you can even shoot off the link by an SMS text message.
You really have two kind of layers of functionality, it looks like. One of them is the general ballpark estimate, right? So just when you're having conversation with clients, you can get a pretty good estimate of cost in very short order, based on filling out just several fields. And then you can go a little deeper on the project and actually, request a quote. And at that point, you're not getting bombarded by a dozen contractors. You just have this project specialist reach out to you or the client and pick up the conversation from there. Is that right?
Exactly. And the biggest reason why we throw in the estimate, it's for budgetary purposes, being able to communicate with your client to see what's affordable in the pre-approval process of financing or within their budget, whatever the case may be. You'll have that ability from the get-go. Another interesting aspect, a tool that we offer is what happens if you don't have the measurements and it's not that easy to obtain. What do you do? So you can easily, let's say you're doing a roof. I'm just going to throw the roofing as an example. The type of material, you kind of have an idea. The way the roof looks, you kind of have an idea, but you don't have that measurement. So all you have to do is go all the way to the bottom. It says skip to the last step. You skip here, you jump right to the additional information, which you may, or like, if you have the info, fill it out, and then fill out the contact information, and then submit for quotation. That means if you want to be contacted with a project specialist, or you could share the project amongst the group. So that's another shortcut if measurements are not easily attainable at that given point in time when you're looking for that project specialist or building out this project on our tool.
Very cool. And I see we got some questions coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that we get those answered as we go.
Yeah,
what
sure.
are the built-in profit and overhead margins or percentages?
Built-in margins and overhead for percentages for the contractor?
Yeah, I think they're trying to figure out, what the contractor is making on these. And I think the variance in this estimate, part of that variance really is a demonstration of what the margin is from the contractor, right? So if the estimate is between 11 and 15,000, we know materials only cost so much, and labor can certainly vary, right? But the other variable in that span is going to be the profit, right? So I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, you'd maybe be a better answer than myself. I don't think there's a set profit percent. I think it's just a matter of, we know that in general, this is what's considered a reasonable range and an estimated range. But if there's people out there who are trying to make a higher margin, they could be outside of this. And if there's people who are willing to work for a lot less, they could be on the bottom of this range. Is that safe to say? Yes,
exactly. There's profitability. That's also a factor. And then there's also the project itself, right? Every house is different. Every story is different. It's never just a drop-in box going, okay, I just place it. It's the same cost, same time. It all depends on the layout, the type of property. It all depends. And so that's why there's that range as well. So like that also is a factor.
Great. Well, thank you for that question. That was appreciated. I have another question here. How are the local contractors chosen? And is there a list that we or the homeowner can receive or choose from? And this contractor network, my understanding is through a partnership with BuildZoom, right? Precisely. And BuildZoom is a national platform. They have 175,000 contractors nationwide. And what they do that is a little different than the home advisors or the porches of the world is they actually grade all of their contractors. and they grade all the contractors on a whole bunch of variables. There's 72 data points that make up a score. And it's going to be things like, their status with the Better Business Bureau, legal actions, how long they've been in business, all of their permit data, right? So they're going to know how many contractors in your particular town have done additions or renovations, and how active they are in that particular type of work. So 72 total data points that make up this score. And then they participate in bringing contractors to the equation based on the needs of the client. And the reason why I think that's really important to point out is because A, you're getting only the highest scoring contractors, but B, if I really want to pick the best contractors, what I would probably do in the absence of something like this, really to get a great contractor, is probably to fill out a Freedom of Information Act with your municipality and get all of that permit data and find out who's doing what kind of business in that municipality and what their track record is and how quickly they finish jobs, right? That's really going to tell you, who some quality contractors are in your particular marketplace. This does all that work for you through that Build Zoom network.
Exactly.
Randy, do you have anything else on the actual network of contractors that are brought to the table here?
Exactly. And the way it works is this is why we have this also additional information. It gives Build Zoom's network, gives us the ability to connect you with the proper project specialist, which will be able to verify through that 72-point process Jim just mentioned, they're most appropriate contractors to meet the needs. And how fast we are able to connect. Well, if you provide us, we have like the information. There's a lot of info. It doesn't all have to be filled out. But once we receive the information, we get pinged instantly, and our team reviews it. And once we're comfortable with all the information, it's a matter of minutes until our Build Zoom project specialist is connected to follow up with yourself or your client, whoever is the preferred method of contact, to get that notification and take it forward.
All right. That's awesome. Another question we had here: do these contractors work with rehab loans offered by lenders? Do you want to take that one, Randy, or you want me to?
Well, you're already starting. Why don't you?
Okay. So, and as NCS agents, you are all familiar with the one-time upfront close, right? Where the lender is securing the dollars needed for the land as well as the build. Well, the lenders, right? The lenders here can do the same exact thing. They are securing the dollars for the home acquisition as well as the improvement, right? So you're buying a $300,000 home, you're putting $100,000 into it. Well, the lender is actually, financing for that $400,000 end product. And very similar to new construction, they're going to want to see the construction agreement that you have with the builder or renovator, and they're going to want to know the scope of work and do the appraisal and make sure that the appraisal makes sense, right? So it's really no different, but it's still a one-time upfront close where you can have the purchase and the necessary dollars for the improvements all done in one foul swoop. And that way your improvements are also being financed at today's rates, right? We have a lot of people that just say, well, I'll buy the house and then I can always do a home ec or something like that and free up some money to do my improvements. Well, sometimes your home ends up at 2.5 and your home ec ends up at 6, right? And those improvements are now a lot costlier than they had to be. So this is a way to come in and just say up front, this is what I'm buying, this is what I'm putting into it, and have it all packaged up just like new construction. So yeah, absolutely, that they work with the rehab loans offered by the lenders, and that makes it a lot easier and a lot more cost effective. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Randy, from a demo perspective, let me go ahead and hand it back to you, and that way, we can kind of wrap this up here and see if there's anything else that we need to cover on the demo front.
Okay, sure, not a problem. Another thing is, it's okay to make mistakes, redo, whatnot. Not at the end of the day, don't be afraid to play with anything. Honestly, we only get notified once you click the submit for quotation and the share information. And if there's an error, the worst case that happens, our team calls you and says, "Hi, how are you?" And that's the end of it. And then also, if you're entering information, you notice you have to make some changes to it. on this, like you'll see here, the edit the pencil. You can always edit and change the pitch and change the details. Like for instance, on the kitchen, let's say you want to change it from a standard to a premium, you'll see now the price changed just from that, and you can have those edit capabilities. And the last thing I'd like to show is if, let's say, you don't have any of these type of projects that are here, you just click on other and you type in whatever you'd like. We do have already over 150 different types of items here, but you could type literally anything. So let's say a basement. Oh, basement remodel is there already. So you have the basement as a basement remodel, and then you type in the location, request a personalized quote. Under this section, we don't give you a quick estimate right away live. All you have to do is type in the information, upload. I recommend upload as many images, photos, videos, whatever you have, upload as much as you can, and then share it with us, and then we'll be able to connect you to the right person.
Very cool. So one question came in, Randy, while you're mentioning the share. What does the share button mean again, as opposed to the quote?
Well, the submit for quotation is an interest that you want to be connected with a project specialist and to discuss further and get a personalized quotation or real quote for the work and connect you with the right special contractor in your area to execute the project. A share is just, I want to just share this, maybe even share it to yourself. You want to share it with the client. You could share it with whoever you'd like, a snapshot, a summary of what you've created here. Because once you've created and you leave the site, you would have to redo everything. So if you want to just keep this, keep access to this sharing a project is the ability to do so. And I don't mind quickly showing you. I'll just quickly type. I have to just fill out the required fields. Just gonna. Let's say it's the realtor. I click share project, and then it just takes you to a pop-up screen where you just enter your information, recipient, and then you're able to send off the email, and they receive an email with your information and the link of the project. And if you want to keep the link for yourself, you click on get the link, and then the window of a table of everything you've entered will show up. And these links here are the images or the files that you've uploaded. So you have access to it by clicking here. And if you want to have quick access to this link, you just save the link as a bookmark or whatever, like it's your favorite website, and you'll always have access to it. And then to go back, you can just click here, back to project overview, and you're back. And then you can also submit for quotation and continue.
So the submit from quotation, that's when you're going to get outreach from the project manager. Precisely. Who's going to inquire about, what you need and how they can help, right?
Precisely.
Okay. Now, again, this was developed with the help of realtors, right? So this was sent out to test groups of realtors who gave their feedback, what they wanted to see the tool do, how they wanted to see it work. So this really was built by the real estate community for the real estate community. And my understanding is that this is still going to be further developed and further enhanced to add even more utility. So we're going to be able to brand this to your brokerage and to you, for example, right, to provide more value. It'll be your tool, right? So there's going to be some additional components, in my understanding, Randy, that are going to even make this more special as far as a personalized tool for a real estate professional.
Yeah, we'll be able to have that capability.
So that's a big deal because, again, there's lots of tools out there, but having something that's designed for real estate, by real estate, you're going to find that it can do, I think, a lot of the things that you're looking for it to do. So we encourage you to go to the website. Randy, you want to cover the website again so they know how to get there?
Sure. The website is realrenopro.com. Real Renos, REALRENO pro.com.
Okay, realrenopro.com. If you scroll to the top of the screen, we're probably going to see it up there in the upper left-hand corner in the search bar, I would imagine. realrenopro.com. And then you can go ahead and you can create a shortcut. There you go. A shortcut on your mobile device so you can get to it a little bit quicker. And, the best thing that I could tell you is don't forget about it. And I hear about a lot of great tools. We have a lot of our members bring a lot of neat stuff our way. And we try and bring as much of it to you as we possibly can after we, of course, vet it out and work with it ourselves. But the biggest crime, so to speak, is to have something really neat at your disposal, a differentiator and something that can help you and your clients. And at a critical time, it just gets forgotten about, right? And then, it's after the fact, you kind of go, oh yeah, I could have used that, right? So, try and make sure that you get it on your phone right away, realrenopro.com. Create that shortcut on your mobile device. Most of you know how to do that. That's pretty simple to do. And then it's just there, right? It's not something that you have to think as much about because, every day as we get into the spring season here, we're going to see more and more activity. We're going to be going to more and more homes, showing properties to our buyers, going on listing presentations. And this is something that, quite frankly, if the house isn't perfect, is going to have some utility, right? Because we know if it's not perfect, either us as the agent representing the seller, we should point out what the concern is, or us as the agent representing the buyer, we know what the obstacles to the buyer purchasing will be, right? So to have an answer to that question, right, about what can be done, how it's going to cost, how much it's going to cost, and who's going to do the work, right, takes all that guesswork out. And I think we're going to find that we can sell a lot more homes to a lot more people when they understand and all the question marks are answered, right? They're not out there floating around, scratching their head about all these things. Because more often than not, when that happens, they just take a pass, right? And we don't want our buyers taking a pass. They might just stop their home search and restart their home search in 3 months with somebody else. So we don't want that to happen to us. Randy, anything else you want to add?
Well, no. I think that I covered pretty much the main aspects of things. And at the end of the day, should you have any questions or want to reach out directly to me regarding the tool, feel free. The email is info@realrentalpro.com, and I'm easily reachable that way. So one of our team members will easily reach back should we not respond right away. And any questions regarding the tool, we'll be more than happy to help.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Randy. I know one individual inquired about teardowns and new developments. That's a topic for another time, but please reach out to me directly if you'd like to, jimp@neighbors.org, and I'd be happy to go ahead and help direct you in the right direction on that front. But Randy, thanks so much for joining us. And folks, please take advantage of this tool. Again, we're going to keep on refining this, making this better and better, bringing more utility for you and bringing more value for you. And as long as you're an NCS agent, we're going to make sure that we keep these awesome things coming. So thanks for joining us. And Randy, once again, thanks for your time.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a good day, everybody. Good luck.